Audicratic audio.
I was going to ask, did you go to school for music or no?
No, I didn't even go to college. You know what's funny is I always say that, and I have a lot of love for Tennessee. Don't get me wrong. I'm staunchly defensive of where I lived as a kid, but I always say that if I hadn't lived in Tennessee, I probably would have a doctor's degree and I probably would go to church regularly because I'm a very spiritual person, but living in Tennessee made me hate organized religion. I love learning. I love absorbing new information, but living in Tennessee made me hate the education system. So when I had fulfilled my high school obligations, I was ready to get out. Now, what happened to your point, though, when I moved to New York, by that point, I had already kind of figured out that if my music was going to be competitive and stand a chance, it needed to sound good. Like it needed to sound sonically pleasing. It needed to sound like a quote unquote professional, the same as anything you'd hear on the radio. So it was around the time I was moving to New York that I kind of put together the eureka moment of, well, if I become an engineer, my own music will sound much better. And this is a way that I can make a living while I'm trying to make Jake Palumbo get off the ground. And this is a way that I could stay plugged in with artists and labels and my network stay strong. So when I first moved to New York, I did try to go to audio school. And the problem was it's not like college where you can kind of work your way through. Like even though I was approved for the max financial aid, there was still like a difference of like $7,000-8,000 that they want right then and there. So what ended up happening was, I couldn't make audio school work, but then I remembered that when you graduate audio school, they say it's job placement, but in reality, it's internship placement. Like they don't get you a paying job, they get you an internship at a studio, and it's up to you to try to parlay that into some kind of, paying work. So I thought to myself, like, well, what if I just skipped the audio school? What if I skipped the debt? What if I skipped all this money? I already know a lot of what I need to know anyway. And so what if I just skipped that part and went straight to the internship? And so that's what I did. I went on Craigslist and everywhere I could, message boards, the Village Voice, and I started calling around to studios until I found one that would take me as an intern. So I did try to go to audio school at one point, but whether it's the business, whether it's actually producing music or any of the stuff I do, like it's all self-taught. Like it's just trial and error and making mistakes and trying to do better next time, and things of that nature. But it's, as time went on, I did get a little bit of mentorship. But I was a grown man by that point. Like early in my career, I got to work under Patrick Adams, who was a great soul, funk, and disco producer and songwriter. His music's been sampled countless times. I learned a lot working under Patrick, and there were definitely, beat miners taught me stuff. Like I've definitely, as I've gotten older and made more friends with a lot of, legends and people that, just really have veteran years in this. I've gotten some mentorship there, but for the most part, it's all been self-taught and learning through mistakes. And that's why I do try to give back as much as I can with as much helpful information as I can provide, because I'm one of those like weirdo psychopaths that like will just keep pressing on through the pain until I find the answer. But a lot of people get discouraged very easily. So if there's some information that I can provide to people that might help prevent their discouragement, like I said, that's part of my giving back, because I didn't have that coming up.
Right. And you definitely give back. There's no doubt about that. You're always dropping gems. Daily coffee gems, and more than that. It's interesting because I went to school for music, and looking back, I mean, not only was I there during the time where the music industry just went like this and everything changed and everything I learned essentially meant nothing, to your point of just going there, just doing it, not actually paying for school. I mean, that's the way. And clearly it paid off. All the books you read, you probably retained more than I did when I was in college. It's funny.